Army hearties, and welcome to another edition of Mr. Gordon's Boot Camp. This week we're going to be channeling our inner pirate and we're going to be walking the plank. So, this activity will be very good at improving your balance skills along with your coordination skills. Resources you will require for this task are 2 balls of rolled up socks, and you'll need a long piece of rope or string, or what Mr. Gordon's using is I've taken the kind of belt part of a dressing gown, and what I'll do is I'm just going to tie these together. Any knot will do. And then you'll have a nice long bit of rope like this. And this, boys and girls, will be your plank. What we're going to do is we're going to lay our plank out on the floor. So we put it at one end of the room and let it stretch to the other. And then you want your plank laid out as such, just across the length of a room. It doesn't have to be as long as this. If you want a slightly easier challenge, you can just use one dressing gown belt. Okay, so the first part of the challenge, boys and girls, is quite simply just to walk the plank without falling into the shark-infested waters below. We certainly don't want to get eaten by any sharks. So what you've got to do, it's a bit like walking a tightrope as well. So start at one end, walk forward, put one foot in front of the other. You can put out your arms to help with your balance. Don't let your feet touch the ground. They've got to stay on the string or the belt. Let's see if you can get along the plank without falling into the water. Once we've got to the end of the plank, we're going to make it a little bit more difficult, and we're going to see this time if we can walk backwards without falling off the plank and into the water. So same idea, like I said, going backwards. So this is a much more difficult. So put one foot in front of the other, keep it onto the plank. You might need to look behind to make sure you're not standing in the water. Keep those arms out for balance. Whoa. Almost. Just keep these balance. Whoa. We're almost there. Trying very hard to keep our feet on the plank. And he's made it back to the boat. For the next part of the challenge, take one of your balls of socks, and this time we're going to try walk the plank whilst balancing our socks on our head. So we put that on your head, get a good balance, and walk the plank. Making sure that you keep your feet on the plank, one foot in front of the other. Keep that balance. Don't let the socks, or we can call it socks treasure, don't let that fall into the water. He's made it. And just like walking the plank initially, let's see if we can walk backwards, balancing the socks on our head. So much more difficult, making sure that you're staying on your plank. Keep that balance, boys and girls. Keep one foot behind the other. Don't let your feet fall into the water. Okay, let's take it one stage further. This time, what I want you to do is I want you to try and constantly throw your ball of socks in the air whilst walking the plank and catching it. Making sure not to let either yourself or your socks of treasure fall into the shark-infested waters. So, you might want to just do it with your strongest hand, or if you're feeling like you need the extra challenge, you can throw it from one hand to the other. Keeping your balance as you go. Ooh. And again, see if you can do the same thing walking backwards. Across the plank. Keeping balance. Oh, I think I put my foot in the water there. And now for the final part of the challenge, boys and girls, let's see if we can juggle our ball of treasure along with balancing our other ball of treasure on our head. So, let's get the treasure on the head for balancing. This is where it becomes really tricky. Ooh. Being careful not to let yourself or the treasure fall in the water. Oh, I can feel it slipping a bit. Can he make it to the end? Oh no, he can! Oh! In the shark infested water. If that happens, go back to the start and try again. So, treasure on the head. I'm going to try juggle this one foot in front of the other. I think I've got a better balance this time round. Hoping not to fall in the shark infested waters and get eaten this time. And if you want a final little challenge, boys and girls, you can do the balancing and the juggling, but walking backwards across the plank. You might even want to challenge some members of your household to try and walk the plank as well. You could even time yourselves walking the plank and see who can get to the end of the plank quickest.